Beautiful morning, beautiful sunrise. It was probably a little bit prettier before I got out of the house. I'm a tiny bit late, but not by much. And it's not going to get too hot today. In fact, it might even rain. I am prepared with a garbage bag in my backpack to dump all my stuff, like my camera, into it and just get soaked. I don't carry a rain jacket. I'm not worth it. And the rain here is not that cold, although it can get pretty chilly if you're wet for a while. So it's not, I try and avoid getting dumped on, but what am I going to do? Stay in the house? Not walk around? I guess if I was on my own land walking around, I'd have spots to get out of the rain when the rains came heavy and just hang out there for a while. So once this place is all built, this problem will go away. But I get bored just walking around in circles on my land and all my trails are grown over. I want to talk about something else. And that is, should I go fast or should I go slow? Now, people love to tell other people what the hell to do. And I generally tune them out completely because they're annoying. But today, I intend to walk to town relatively slow. Or, well, we'll see. But lately I have had a couple cases where I tried to walk to town. This is a town about, I don't know, with the route I take 6 kilometers or so. See, I got my phone, I got my camera, I got my GPS, right? I'm all set. All teched out. I'm a tech bro. God, I hate that term because I spent my career in technology and I don't really see myself as much of a tech bro. I was in a group once of a bunch of Christian guys who were in software, and they played basketball and I went and played pool with them and stuff, and they were males. They were more stereotypical male than I am. I mean, I'm 100% male. There's no female side. But I leave myself open to whatever experience I want to have without calling it female. It's bullshit. Strict gender roles are why there's so much interest in being transgender. It's because people feel locked into their their gender roles. So we can just skip all that shit and not go around being chest-pounding, dumb fuck, violent men or prissy, weak, sycophantic women that lie. So let's just forget all that shit and try and be good people. Not everything has to be fucking genderized. Anyway, that's not the point. Should we go fast or slow? I want to get to town, and I guess I would rather get there faster than not, because I'm not sure when I'm coming back. And in this case, I actually want to walk around town slow. I have an ulterior motivation for that. Well, it's not very ulterior if I say it on video and publish it. But I want to walk around with my GPS in town, and I want to look for properties which are distressed. Lots where the building is, not taken care of and nobody lives there. Or that maybe never even had something built on in the first place. And maybe some lots next to a house that, if you bought the house and you bought the lot, you would have this really great yard in town. A private courtyard. That's luxury, to live in town and be able to be outside in some shade with some birds, and that just seems like a great option. Also around town, since town's fairly centralized in the way it's built, there's lots and lots of land next to town where you could actually build an entire new eco community. Now, I always think of, let's go away from town as much as possible, be off-grid, which you could still be off-grid next to town, by the way. Totally doable. But, I always want to get out far, 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 because that's what I've done. But most people aren't like, oh, these doves up there. This is a rare kind of dove. There's 2 of them. And they're coming back, supposedly. My friend told me that he didn't see them as much before. He saw him when he was a kid, and then there was less. And he's old like me. Then now they're coming back, and they like my place, which I'm thrilled about. Like, I want doves to like me. See, they're up there. They're not, I don't know what kind of dove they are. I got a book, I could look them up. And this camera's not going to be good enough for you to see them. Let's see, they're light brown in a dove shape. When they fly, you see a little bit of white along the edge of their tail. Okay, that's cool. And when they're just seated, they just flew away. They're in a tree over there now. They don't want to talk to me because I'm noisy and human. Fucking speciesists. Anyway, so what I want to do is take my GPS areas and make maps online. This all got cleared out. See this was all hard to pass with a car. I've complained about it before, but my friend, I hired him and he macheted it all out. And ultimately I want to fill this in with dirt here so you can cross through, because this is all going to fill with water in the rainy season. And it's going to be a pain in the ass to get through. And there's already there's big gullies in here and stuff. So people with a normal car wouldn't want to come here. Sorry, I get distracted. This is going to be one of those days. I've got all my batteries charged up. I got space on my cards. So I'm just going to talk and talk and talk to the little box in my hand, which is you, I guess. Aren't you privileged to be able to spend time with me? That's a joke. I'm really confused with how to be funny, because I want to say things. I say ridiculous shit all the time. I'm laughing most of the time, or I'm pissed off. Even when I'm pissed off, I think it's funny. I mean, there's just fucking no point. There is a point. I want to change the entire world and make it better. But you also just have to realize that ain't going to be happening. The world is doomed because everyone's trying to fucking destroy it. So, oh well, what can you do? So anyway, I want to identify these places because I would like to recruit more cool neighbors to live near me, even if they don't live right near me. I want to recruit people who have projects, who aren't, just retired. I mean, I could set up a whole retirement community. That's fine. I could set up an assisted living place, a place out in nature where people are, they're really done with being active and stuff like that. Although I know old people that travel around, so I'm not stereotyping old people. And of course, where am I headed? I'm headed towards oldness. So anyway, but some people do want to live in town, and so I like this idea of a vision of eco villages next to town that do offer business opportunities to serve the town, that don't compete with the locals. Anytime you bring in outside people, you're causing a potential conflict, and that conflict can be predicted. It's very predictable, and you can avoid it, and you can make sure you're a positive impact. It's a win-win relationship with the town. So that's very important to me, and that's one of the reasons that I don't particularly want to say where I live, because I think it's the best place I know of in the world. If you really take all the factors and make a big equation for what best means for a person like me, or like the kind of people I want to attract, it is filled with opportunity. It has some flaws that might bother some people, but those people maybe shouldn't live here. And it would be great for the economy of the area. I think that bringing in outside people, often there's issues of gentrification, but also that's a lot of bigotry too. Like where I come from in the U.S., people hated people from another state who were all moving to their state. And you see that now with Californians moving to Texas, and stuff like that. And it's just all this localism. And it's like nationalism. It's bigotry. Because all these people are fucking individuals, right? And they have very different ways of being. And to stereotype people just because of where they're born, or their skin color, or whatever other demographic attributes, is really dumb. And I think almost the worst culprits of this are people who do that to themselves. Like they pick some demographic attribute of themselves and then they build their whole character around it like that's their most important thing. Fuck that shit. You got tons of attributes of all kinds. Be a fucking individual. You know, you're a combination of everything that came before you, of everything you've ever experienced, and maybe you are actually intelligent and powerful enough to make choices in your own life about who you want to be. Wouldn't that be nice? We'd have a lot better people, and they'd be happier too. But you know, if you're going to center all of your identity around your national origin, your cultural setup, your spiritual setup, your sexual orientation, your generation that you came from. Like people get like, I'm from generation whatever. It's like, who gives a shit? What kind of person are you? Do you have any personal identity at all? Do you even have a fucking personality? Anyway, so lots of people do this, and then they say, oh, I'm in this community of people. I'm special because of this. And it's like, you know, the constant desire to feel special and shit. And I understand that. I am actually a freak. I am fairly special. But that doesn't mean shit. Who cares? You know? I don't give a fuck what race I am or gender or national origin or spirituality. I'm not going to focus on it all the goddamn time. And I understand that we can't, you know, I mean, we're going to do a little bit, but if that's all you got to offer is your demographic identity, you're probably a bigot. Now, of course, it depends on what you do with that identification, but I mean, you could be proud of your heritage, for example. You know, where your family came from, or the history and culture of where you come from. But that really quickly, and I've seen over and over, can turn into bigotry. And we all know, you know, that that's really terrible if you're white and proud of that, or you're proud of, you know, stuff like that. But, you know, being proud of being indigenous, for example, even though you're probably fake indigenous, since you're not First Peoples, your people took over a place and then they got taken over by somebody else, and that's before colonization happened. This happened all over the fucking world. You know, nobody's really fully indigenous, hardly. I mean, that'd be a good question to try and figure out is, are there any groups of people that can really trace their lineage back to the first people who showed up in that area? And also, who gives a fuck who got there first? That just doesn't fucking matter. How do you treat people? How do we build freedom? Because all this shit is promoted by people who are anti-freedom, organizations that are anti-freedom, to try and control you. They want you to fight with other people. They want you to not fight against them. Not see the slavery of the state wherever the hell you are. They're trying to distract you. Can we like have a nice, calm, relaxing day? This gets back into the fast, slow thing of like, do I really have to be like forcefully pushing myself through life? Or could I briefly at least relax? And the fucking answer, unfortunately, given the brain that I have, is really hard for me to do that. And I'm not normal. Whatever the fuck I am, it's not normal. And that's okay. I've accepted that for my whole life. In fact, I revel in not being normal because normal people bore the shit out of me for the most part, and they say dumbass things that aren't true, and they don't read or study or know anything. They're kind of a pain to be around. But I would like to be a functionally, vaguely comfortable, happy person, and probably comfortable to be around as well. I mean, a lot of people have been around me. I mean, I've always understood, like, when people are like, that there's a certain dose of me that they want, and they don't want more than that. I'm very sympathetic. I'm overdosed on myself. I don't want to hang around with me all the time. And this leads to things like drinking too much alcohol, which I currently am not doing, which means it's hard for me to go to sleep because I don't have a way to shut down. And I have sleeping pills, which are a way to shut down. But if I don't take sleeping pills or alcohol, I will stay awake for around 2.5 days without sleeping. And then somewhere in there, I'll crash out. And that's extremely uncomfortable, especially if the nights are long and dark and you have no one to talk to or do. And then you crash out, and then you're in this cycle where your sleep cycle's off, and then you crash out, then you wake back up after not enough sleep, and then you start it over again, and then you just start living this sleep-deprived life where you're not at your best, really. That's why I need structure in my life. I need to self-impose structure, and that's why I talk about that for a community setting as well, where I think whether you're a freak like me or a freak like other people, it's very helpful to have a structure that helps us operate cohesively together for maximum health and benefit and profitability and fulfillment and creation and all this good shit. And so how we have that structure exist is this constant struggle, because we want total freedom, but total freedom kind of sucks. Total freedom means people are going to abuse drugs. Total freedom means they're going to be obese, because they have all this food that was exactly crafted to be like a drug or like drugs. And then they'll get diabetes, and they'll have bad health, and they'll be addicted to government subsidy systems to pay for their health problems, and they'll think, I have to have that. And it's like, well, you could actually live in a community of healthy people and live healthy yourself, and you could skip about 80% of the problems you have. But that means we have to commit to something at almost a religious level of commitment to better ways of living. And when I use the word religious, immediately people are going to think, oh, really restrictive, narrow thing. And it's like, no, that's not it. I want massive amounts of diversity, the self-expression, and some of those should only be within certain communities or not, depending on what it is, Like there's communities where nudity is okay or not. There's communities that of all kinds. I mean, I want the diversity. That is not the fucking point, and you're not fucking listening to me if you don't comprehend that. It's kind of frustrating when I talk to people online and they're like, they really want things to be like they are. A guy just wrote online, I was talking about, filtering people and making communities that match up with people. And he's like, well, no, all over the world, people work together and they do all this great stuff, and we're going to do it for thousands of years and everything is fine. And I just don't know where the hell this guy's coming from. How can he look at this world where children are abusive, partnerships are abusive, men and women are pissed off at each other, people rip each other off in business, business itself is corrupt with corporations, money itself is fake, your government doesn't serve and protect you, your police don't serve and protect you, they oppress you, we have oligarchies and plutocracies all over the world, we have wars that totally are violent and earth-destroying and life-destroying wars. I mean, we live in a really fucked up, shitty world. And this guy thinks it's fine. Now, I don't care what he thinks, okay? He's some anonymous fuck on the internet. And he's not compatible with what I was saying I'm proposing. But, why even bother? I don't want to talk to the guy. I thought about just blocking him. I didn't block him. But I probably will later. Because it's just this guy's living in a fucking delusional world. There are people all over the world who are ethnically oppressed. There's people hacking each other up with machetes. There's fucking slave labor all over the place. And if we define it certain ways, you're probably less free than somebody in a feudalist system. You got lots to consume if you live in the industrial world. You live like a fucking emperor. Potentially. But do you own your house, or does this bank own it? Do you have real security in community? Do you have real friendships you can trust? Do you have relationships where you can trust? Are you sexually fulfilled? Do you live in a way that you're not hurting other people? I mean, I wouldn't say you're successful if you're constantly hurting other people. And maybe you don't give a fuck about that. I wonder about these terms like sociopath and psychopath, where I read about them, and I've experienced a lot of people I think fit into those categories, because I've hosted so many people at my home. But I kind of think we're sort of all ultimately very self-centered by nature, which is unsurprising. We live in ourselves. We see out of our view. And most people have never made a really concerted effort their entire lives to break out of that centralized view and see things through the eyes of others, to develop actual empathy for other people, to reduce our judgment of who other people are and the weird decisions that they make that make no sense to us. You know, like most people make no sense to me. You know, their total promotion of war. I mean, in the U.S., for example, like everybody, a lot of people, the noisiest and most obnoxious ones, hate the other side so much, and are totally unwilling to see the absolute total evilness of their side